I genuinely cannot tell if I'm in focus or not. We're just going to pray for the best. Here's the deal. I know I said I was filming a Q&A this week, but change of plans. I have been wildly depressed these past 2 weeks, which is ironic because the last video I put out was all about my mental health, and I ended it basically saying that, I was turning a corner and things were getting better. It's not that I was lying. In that moment when I was recording that video, that was the truth. But since then, I've gone a little downhill. And I'm just trying really hard not to be mad at myself right now for kind of taking like a downturn, because I was doing really well for a while and I was very proud of the progress that I made. But just because I'm having a bad week or two does not mean that I should negate all the progress that I have made so far. It is just frustrating. So long story long, I'm not going to do the Q&A tonight because I don't feel like it. And also, a lot of the responses that I got when I asked on Instagram, what questions you guys had for me were very gay-centered and coming out-centered, and like just a lot of questions about how I knew and questions around my queerness in general. And so I thought I would use today's video to tell my coming out story. And if you watch Rachel Uncensored, I'm sure you would have heard parts of it, but I figured today I will go more in depth and tell you the juicy gossip, and just, have fun with it. But before we get into the story, how dare I not introduce myself? My name is Emily Brostaff. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, I am almost 30 years old and chasing a YouTube career. Okay, so for my coming out experience, we need to rewind. One of the most frequently asked questions I get is, how did you not know you were gay sooner? And I like to tell everyone there were several signs along the way that if I had just taken a second to stop and think about it, I would have realized I was gay a lot sooner. I would also like to preface this story by saying that I have incredibly hippie parents who just, as long as you are happy and you are healthy, they don't care about anything else. So it's not like I didn't recognize I was gay because I was scared of being rejected. I literally do not have an explanation for it. Basically, the earliest memory I can look back on now and recognize was super gay Emily trying to crawl her way out, was when the Scholastic Book Fair came to our school, and I was in elementary school. I just can't remember which grade, but Titanic was super popular. All the girls in my class were obsessed with Leo DiCaprio, so they were buying his biographies or these magazines that had just picture after picture after picture of Leo in them. And all the girls in my class bought one, and they were all comparing pictures and talking about how they would marry him and how cute he was and how they loved his hair. And all I cared about was finding the pictures of Kate Winslet, or Rose from Titanic, and seeing if the magazine happened to include a booby shot from that one scene. And then about a year later, my mom put me into sailing camp because we grew up kind of around the waterfront, and that's just what you do here. And I remember I had the biggest crush on my sailing instructor, who was this 16-year-old high school girl. And of course, back then, I just thought, oh my God, she's so cool. I want to be exactly like her. I want to spend as much time with her as possible. I hope she picks me to ride in her boat. That's not a euphemism. I was just obsessed with her. And of course, looking back on it now, I'm like, there it is. That's one of your first girl crushes. So then I got to high school and I started dating boys. And it's not like I made this conscious choice to be like, oh, don't find this girl in your class attractive and only go chase after boys. When I say I literally did not realize, I didn't realize. So I dated all of these boys in high school, but again, the one thing that I could not understand is all of my female friends were running around and talking about how they couldn't wait to kiss and cuddle and spend time with their boyfriends and do other things. And the only thing I could think the entire time they were talking, or when I was thinking about my own relationship, was, ew, no, I'm good. And that's not saying that I didn't ever kiss or do anything else with boys. It never did it for me. And I have all these memories of my boyfriends trying to kiss me or hold my hand or cuddle me, and in my mind just being like, ugh, it was just not a fun time. But once again, I gaslit myself and I was like, Emily, you just probably haven't found the right boy yet. But then, I'm sad to report, I met this one guy, and it was kind of the first time in my life where I didn't feel icky about a boy. It was just very neutral. And I thought to myself, I can deal with neutral. I didn't hate him, he didn't disgust me, but I also wasn't longing for anything physical. But like any good lesbian, I got to college. The college I chose to go to was extremely liberal and therefore had this giant LGBTQ plus community. I think that was definitely the key to helping me realize that I perhaps am gay. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Like I said, I was dating this guy while I was a freshman at college. We did not go to the same college, so I only ever saw him maybe once a month on a weekend when he would drive up to visit. So I was left alone a lot with a bunch of gay girls. And there was this one particular afternoon where I had sports practice, my hair was not cooperating, our captain said we had to have our hair braided, I was freaking out, I was running late, so I decided I just need to find another girl in my dorm that can help me braid my hair. Tell me why this is sounding like a really bad intro to a really cheesy porn. I was racing the halls of this all-girls dorm, desperately trying to find another girl that could help me braid my hair. I see this door was open. I knock on it. I had no idea who this girl was. She turns around. I say, please, dear God, can you help me braid my hair? Please tell me you know how to braid. And she was like, oh yeah, come on in. And that was the first time in my life where in person, I saw a girl and, had an interaction with her. And I was like, ooh, there are some butterflies. But once again, I chose not to acknowledge it. But we did end up being really good friends for the rest of the year. So when I say we stayed friends for the rest of the year, what I mean by that is when we were bored, we would invite some friends over, we would have a drink of Sprite, and then maybe after one or two Sprites, we thought it'd be a fun idea to start kissing. Because don't all straight girly best friends just make out with each other? Just girly things. And I think finally, that was the first time in my life where I acknowledged, maybe something's not adding up here. But did I stay with my boyfriend for another year? Yeah, of course. I would also like to make it very clear that it was said on several occasions that me making out with other women did not count as cheating. So that's on him. Things never escalated between me and this girl because we both had boyfriends and we both were just whatever. Fast forward to sophomore year. I was in the dining hall with one of my really good friends that happened to be on the rugby team. And while we were walking to get food, she ran into one of her teammates. And the moment I turned to see who she was talking to, yeah. And that was officially the second time in my life where my stomach was doing flips. I must have been the most awkward person standing there because I was just staring at her like this. I literally could not believe how attractive she was. And thankfully for me, the feeling happened to be mutual. And so once she was done talking to our mutual friend, she turned towards me, she introduced herself. I feel like we hit it off right away. In my version of the story, we hit it off right away. And I ended up inviting her back to my dorm that night because I was actually throwing a party. And just to remind you, I was still with my boyfriend who told me that kissing other girls was not cheating, but in my gut, I knew if this girl showed up to my dorm, it was gonna go further. And I didn't want to be a cheater because I was with this guy. And we had talked about getting married and our kids and where we would live. And, we made this life plan. And I was so unsure that I didn't want to throw all of that away on just a whimsical feeling. At some point, this girl shows up and we're all having a good time and we're playing games and we're just getting to know each other and everyone's just having fun. And I end up saying, I need to go to the bathroom. I really have to pee, but I don't think I can make it there on my own. Now, whether I said that to lure this girl into being alone with me in the bathroom, or because I literally didn't think I could make it to the bathroom without crawling on my hands and knees, which is not sexy. Whatever the reasoning was, I said it. And of course, she jumped to my aid and escorted me to the bathroom, where, like I called it, things ended up happening. Now, I'm not proud of this. I'm not saying it's right. I do feel guilty about betraying my boyfriend's trust at the time. But goddamn, that was what needed to happen. Because that was the final little push I needed to finally realize, yep, I'm a homosexual. As the universe would have it, this party happened on a Friday night. And who came to visit me on Saturday morning? I'll give you one guess. That's right, my boyfriend drove 3 hours to come visit me just a mere 6 hours after events occurred, and it's not funny, and I shouldn't be laughing unless you find it funny. For real though, I felt horrifically guilty, and I could never own up to it. I couldn't come clean because I couldn't face him and admit that I had done something terrible. So the whole weekend I was acting super off, and he noticed, and on his drive home from visiting me, he ended up calling me and basically saying, like, I can tell something's wrong. You were being weird this weekend. I said to him, like, I don't even remember, something along the lines of like, I don't think this is working out. Like, I think we should break up. I know, I'm a terrible person. But karma had its kiss for me because I was super into this girl and the feelings ended up not being reciprocated. After I officially ended up breaking things off with my boyfriend, I ended up calling my mom first, and I basically said, hey, I broke up with so-and-so. Also, I think I'm gay and I'm kind of talking to this girl. And without skipping a beat, my mom's first response back was, oh, that's so cool. What's she majoring in?
My best friend, Valentina, she's an ally. Talk, Valentina.
Ally.
I already told you I grew up with super hippie and accepting parents, so I wasn't scared of them judging me, but I was like prepared for my mom to be like, what? This is so weird. You've been dating boys for years, and where did this come from? And like more of like in a curious sense, and nope, my mom just went with it. And what a cool way to handle that. So after that incredible interaction, I felt super free to just kind of tell everyone in my life. I had a few people ask questions, which is fine because I'm sure it was a shock to them. But then, of course, I had a few friends from childhood that were like, yeah, we know. Like, yeah, okay, and then I had other people that acted just like my mom and was just like, oh, tell me about her. Tell me what happened. I don't know how else to describe it. It was just perfect. No one hurt my feelings, no one judged me, no one rejected me. And I want to make it clear, I truly recognize how privileged this is, but I didn't have one person disappoint me when I told them. Since that fateful Friday night, I have never looked back. It instantly became so clear to me that I am solely attracted to women, that I have never questioned my sexuality since. I always have so many people ask me how I knew and how I'm so sure, and this is how I like to describe it. It clicked in my head that I have never in my life, even for a second, felt a fraction of the amount of attraction I had to her towards any of the men that I ever dated. And it's not just her, it was any of the women I dated after that. It legitimately was one of those television moments where like the light bulb goes off. The second I kissed that girl, it was like, ding, 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 you're gay. I don't know how to describe it other than that. It's just like, I have never felt like that before, ever. I'm just 1,000% sure I'm gay, and it is just the best thing to ever happen to me. Maybe in the future I'll end up doing a part 2 where I talk a little more candidly and tell you some more stories, because there's so much more to it, but we just don't have time. And maybe I'll also answer your questions, because I do frequently get a lot of DMs about, just queer topics in general. But for now, that's it. That's my coming out story. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you didn't, please don't tell me, because I cannot handle that kind of negativity right now. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all the other things I'm supposed to tell you to do. I really hope to see you next week, and if I don't, I'll cry about it. Okay, bye!